Guys, today we got to talk about Xbox. I know you're probably shocked. You're probably like, wait, what? No PlayStation stories? Like, no, don't worry, that's coming. Guys, we got to talk about Xbox, man. Today's the day. So we've been talking about over the last week and a half, give or take, maybe even a little longer than that. There's been rumors about the complete bloodbath that was coming the way of Xbox. And the rumor was that today, on Monday, that everything was going to be revealed, right? All the announcements were going to be revealed, and we're going to find out exactly how many people are going to be getting let go, how many studios were going to be let go. We're going to find that out today, and that's exactly what's going down, boys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video. Today is the biggest restructuring that has ever happened in Xbox history. Asha Sharma dropped an email. Really, it was like a message, but, it's something she sent out in an email, but she dropped it on her Twitter page. And we're going to go over everything. And I will say this, going forward, is that this level of transparency, pretty good. I got to admit, it's a good thing. And I appreciate the fact that there is somebody up there, who's having at least some level of transparency. Granted, it's not everything, obviously. And I don't really expect it to be everything. But Asha Sharma is officially the Reaper. And I would hope that she would lean into the meme and change her Twitter profile to like something Reaper-oriented, but I don't think it's going to happen. Regardless, we got to talk about it, so let's get into it, boys. Here we go. We're going to go over her entire email, and then we're going to go over some of the studios. Actually, it's going to happen all throughout the topic, so it's fine. And then we're also going to just kind of check out the reaction from a lot of the people who have been just melting down over this stuff, because, guys, there's a lot of layoffs. Like this 3,200 number, I think it's going to be even more than that. This is their number that they estimate right now through fiscal year 2027. Realistically, it could be more. All right. So let's talk about it. She said the following. This is an important email that I sent to all employees at Xbox. She said, team, we are beginning the most significant restructure in Xbox history. After careful consideration, I've made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 people throughout fiscal year 2027. This would include approximately 1,600 role eliminations today. So they're firing half the people in one day. And in addition, 4 studios will be leaving Xbox to new management. I recognize that a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges. Unfortunately, it is not possible to make all the necessary changes in one single day. And I wanted to be direct about the scale. So again, I just want to reiterate. Number one, that's insane, right? 3,200 people. That's not a light amount of people. Keep in mind, Microsoft last year fired over 9,000 people, but it wasn't all Xbox. Actually, the majority of it wasn't in the gaming division. The majority of it was in, their regular tech division. Like it wasn't in gaming. Some of it was, but most of it wasn't. So Microsoft fired 9,000 people last year, mostly in tech. And now this year, the 3,200 is directly in the gaming division. It's all gaming. All of it is in the same division. So pretty wild. Now, looking at some of the studios that are announcing layoffs right now, it really isn't that shocking when you really think about it. Like if you're actually sitting down and being honest with yourselves, not you in the chat, but like with yourselves over at Xbox, you got to sit there and you really got to admit that this should not be shocking information. And the problem is that, yesterday we watched a Laura Fryer video where during the video, she kind of showcased the mindset that kind of plagues some of these Xbox studios. And ironically, she did a video talking about the exact studios that are ending up on this list, almost as if she knew something. But I'll leave that for you to decide. But she ended up showcasing the culture over at places like Compulsion Games and Double Fine or whatever it's called. And when you look at the culture at these studios, and the fact that it looks like an adult daycare, and how basically they have like one of these studios had a literal yoga studio inside their studio for their developers to do yoga when they're at the job. It's like, bro, are you guys going there to work or are you going there to just play house? Like, what exactly is happening? So this is what I mean by looking at these announcements. Nobody should be shocked about any of this. Not us, not the devs that are getting fired, not the studios that are downsizing or getting let go. And some of these studios, they actively hate their leadership so much because these guys believe that they should be able to make whatever, art or, whatever. They should be able to make or be allowed to make whatever they want, regardless of thinking about sales or not. They were actually told to essentially not think about sales. Don't think about sales. Sales don't matter. Well, now we're coming to find out that sales actually do matter. They matter a lot. And it's a very important thing. It's always been a very important thing. And the fact that it's gone this long with you guys ignoring that fact, honestly, yeah, I can understand why there's such a massive bloodbath going on right now. But anyway, let's continue. So this is a lot of the problem that's going on. I mean, we talked about this yesterday, right? She says, I know this is painful. These changes will directly affect people who have poured their creativity into building Xbox. Many joined us through acquisitions, while others were recruited here or sought us out because they love this industry and loved Xbox. Today's decisions do not reflect their talent or dedication. How can you say that? How? How can you say that? I understand that this is the PR, this is the PR speak, right? I get that. I totally get that, right? I understand that companies always, they never want to make it seem like, it was due to poor performance or bad, whatever. They don't ever want to do that. But how can you realistically say this and actually believe it? That today's decisions to fire 3,200 people have nothing to do with their talent or dedication. So why did you fire them? You mean to tell me, you want me to believe that 3,200 people were selected at random? You fired 3,200 people from random studios and random positions? What'd you do? Just put it in a fucking selector and draw? Use AI to draw? No, you didn't do that. You went through your studios and you spoke to your management at these studios, and the management at these studios told you who were weak and who were strong. And the weak got cold and the strong are still there. And they were chosen for a reason. You don't want to admit what that reason is. And the reason is quite simply the person who got fired just wasn't up to snuff. And they were the ones who were chosen to get let go. Stop pretending like this has nothing to do with their talent or dedication when it does. It absolutely does. You didn't do this at random. The people that were chosen for a reason. Quite simple. Anyway, so they said that our business today is not healthy. Well, at least she admits that, which, by the way, shout out to all the Xbox fanboys. Oh my God. The Xbox fanboys that have been in my comments for the last 2 years, calling me a grifter, telling me that I'm lying, telling me that I just want to hate the company, telling me that I have no idea what I'm talking about, telling me that the business is perfectly fine, that Game Pass is super profitable, that Xbox is super successful, and that nothing is wrong for the most part, and that I'm just mad for whatever XYZ reason. Shout out to you guys. It's amazing what happens when you completely ignore what's happening right in front of your eyes. It's honestly quite amazing. And then you're out here cheering for them to lose more money because you want exclusives. It's actually amazing. But anyway, it's fine. Shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. I'm sure you're you're out there right now totally trying to slide into the DMs of these developers and tell them how bad you feel about them losing their jobs when you were part of the main contributor to the reason why they lost their jobs. But hey, I digress anyway. It's all good. The truth comes out eventually for the fanboys. It's only a matter of time. And you'll pretend like this is not happening. You'll pretend like this is like winning, but in reverse somehow, some way. Anyway, so she says that we are operating at a margin that is 3 to 10 times lower than comparable platform and publishing businesses. We entered Gen 9 with a smaller install base and a higher cost structure. Well, that's stupid. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi-platform, and a broader portfolio of content. While those businesses have created meaningful value, they did not grow at the pace that we expected. As that happened, our core business weakened, and we added more teams, more investment, and more time, hoping for a better outcome. And now the industry is facing the most severe hardware crisis in its history. We must reset Xbox. Wow. Wow, this is honestly amazing. It's almost as if all the things that I was talking about over the last year or two is actually not exactly working out for them. You know, the amazing thing is that they threw in multi-platform. They threw in multi-platform in here, although to be honest with you, I don't believe this. You want to know why I don't believe this? Because a lot of Xbox video games sold better on other platforms than they did on their own platform. So to say that multi-platform didn't work out for them, that's not true at all. That's legit not true. Multi-platform worked out very well. What she's trying to say is that multi-platform, unfortunately for them, ended up making people realize that if they wanted to get a video game and buy a video game without just using Game Pass as the means to do so, well, they just decided to do it on another platform that they actually cared about keeping the game on. They didn't care about keeping the game on Xbox because you guys, for so many years, you trained your customer base to just use Game Pass. You gave them all your games day one. You trained your people not to buy. You trained your people not to buy, right? So that's nobody's fault other than your own. And I'm sure they recognize that. I'm sure they understand that. But betting on Game Pass, I've said it for the longest time, Game Pass is not something you want to bet on. And of course, you have all the mega shows out there that love to fucking talk about Game Pass as if it was the savior of the industry. But the reason why they did that is because it allowed them to be able to shill for you without actually spending any money outside of a subscription. It's amazing how some of the biggest, and I mean the biggest, like literally the biggest shills for Xbox, some of the biggest shills for Xbox out there, they get free swag and everything under the sun. Some of the biggest shills out there, they still only use Game Pass. They don't actually buy the games to support them, you know? So I will never understand how that was a smart move. Again, it was a decent value, especially when it was cheaper for some gamers. Of course, I'm not going to say that it wasn't, but realistically, it was terrible for business and it was not sustainable. There was no way in hell. They wanted 100 million subscribers on Game Pass. Last I checked before today, they were at 35 million. You know what they're at now for Game Pass after lowering the price? They're at 30 million. Yes, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Xbox Game Pass is at 30 million, boys. 30 million people. Guys, Game Pass is reportedly back down to 30 million subscribers. Right? So it's not looking good. You guys are going in reverse to where you want it to be. But anyway, let's continue, right? So then it says, while those businesses have created meaningful value, they did not grow, and we must reset Xbox. So first and foremost, we will reset our content portfolio. This should be really good, and I got some information that I want to share with you guys. Let's check this out. So since 2018, we have aggressively expanded our studio portfolio, while the number of games created each month across the industry now outpaces the last 10 years combined. Well, that's obvious, right? That's obvious. Keep in mind, guys, keep in mind, at the end of the day, these people, we all know that there is an immense amount of competition out there. There was almost 20,000 video games that got released over on just Steam alone. 20,000. Now, again, that could be, half of it could be shovel bullshit, right? The other half of that half could be like just indie, smaller video games with little to no scope. But even if only 1/4 of that, 5,000, are halfway decent video games, that's still a lot of video games. It's an insane amount of video games, But anyway, so it outpaces the last 10 years combined, and they find themselves competing not only with the largest publishers, you guys ready for this? But also with smaller independent studios. Dude, you have Xbox, which is a subsector of the biggest company, one of the biggest companies in the world, Microsoft, openly acknowledging on the grand stage of them all, that indie developers are eating their lunch. That's actually insane. I don't think there's ever been a moment where this has actually been a thing outside of like the one or two flukes many years ago. But considering all the wins that indie developers have had over the last couple of years, the fact that they have to admit this on the grand stage of them all and have to admit this to each other in their own emails, well, that's going to be painful. That has to be painful. From these studios that spent $100 million on something like, South of Midnight. Meanwhile, you have Mecha Chameleon that was made by two people that have sold 15 million copies last time I checked. 15 million copies. So, again, looking at all of this, it makes you wonder, why spend all this money? Why spend all this money? Why spend all this time? Why have all these developers that are just like doing yoga at their studio instead of working? Why have any of this? I don't think 3,200 people is going to be the end. I think it's only the beginning. I think this is them starting to trim the fat, but eventually it's gonna get even more than that. But anyway, so it's neither possible nor desirable to own every independent great studio. We have also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. In a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested. Wow. That's insane. As we reset Xbox, we will help independent creators succeed by providing open development tools and audiences to realize their vision. Here's where it gets fun. You guys ready for this? 64 cents to the dollar is insane, bro. That's crazy. They're literally being subsidized by Microsoft. Consistently, they're being subsidized by Microsoft. Anyway, so here's where it gets interesting, right? Because now she's going to talk about studios. So, together we're going to look at these studios and see what they have to offer and whether Xbox made a mistake to let them go or not. All right. So, Compulsion Games, number one, right? Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions are apparently going to return to management and transition to independent studios with their own IP catalog and run away for their next game. So Compulsion Games, the people behind South of Midnight, and Double Fine, the people behind Psychonauts, are going to be independent, okay? So with that being said, I brought up Compulsion Games list to see their video games, to kind of see like what have they offered? What have they offered in their time period, right? And I want to also reiterate that just because they have this situation where they're going independent, it doesn't mean that they're saved, right? Because what this means is that now everything's on them. Everything's on them at this point. So if Compulsion Games doesn't perform, they're not going to have Microsoft to back them up anymore. And I'm sure that's going to make them very scared, which is why there's all those layoffs at Compulsion Games. They have to downsize. They have to. They already have, but I'm sure they're going to have to downsize more. Because the truth is, subsidiation's only going to go so far. I've said this so many times, right? Till I'm blue in the face. Literally, subsidiation's only going to go so far. And if you're going to rely on government money to survive, then you cannot have this many developers. So they're going to fire a lot of people at Compulsion Games because they no longer have Microsoft to save their asses after they fail over and over and over again. They just don't have it, right? The last few years, this is what they've released. South of Midnight, Contrast. I've never heard of this game. Contrast, We Happy Few. I heard decent things about We Happy Few, but ultimately, I don't even think that was that crazy. It was a $60. It's still a $60 game. Lowest recorded price was $5.99. 3,400 concurrent 8 years ago. An estimated 300,000 to 1.5. So it's probably like 600,000 sales, right? That was their last decent hit. And then South of Midnight. I mean, again, we've all seen South of Midnight. It's not even close, bro. All right. What else do they have? Anything? Soundtracks. All right. So that's basically it. All they got is We Happy Few, Contrast, and then South of Midnight. And a couple of soundtracks. All right. Good for them. Good for them. What else? Double Fine Productions. Okay. So Double Fine Productions. This is this Double Fine? This is Double Fine. Yes. So Double Fine. They got a couple of better games under their belt. Psychonauts 2. Obviously, Psychonauts 2 did fairly okay for the most part when it came out. And ironically has sold potentially less than We Happy Few, even though the number's higher. So there's that. That means the game died off faster. The original Psychonauts, 4,500 estimated sales. Look at this varied. Look at this. 328,000 to 6 million. What the fuck is that? Like, how do you have that much of a variation? That doesn't make any sense. They also made Brutal Legend. I know some people enjoy Brutal Legend. That did 1 million to 6 million sales. Again, that's way too much. Costume Quest, Full Throttle Remastered, Grim Fandango Remastered, So they got a lot more games. Like, they got way more games than Compulsion Games does, right? But even though they got way more games, when you look at the performance and the peak of these games, you realize that they're just not that successful. Most of them are not that successful. Most of them are just kind of like forget them kind of games. So, they might have one or two bangers, but that's basically it, right? So those two games are going independent, and they're going to keep their video games, they're going to keep their IP catalog, and they're going to keep whatever their next games that they're working on, right? Now you have Ninja Theory and Undead Labs, okay? Those have joined new ownership with funding to complete and grow Senua and State of Decay 3. So, the rumors about Senua potentially being, completely done, it's not, right? So Senua is going to be completed. Somebody has bought out the franchise. Somebody bought out the company, basically. It's not Microsoft, but somebody, we're going to find out pretty soon who bought out Ninja Theory and who bought out Undead Labs for both of these upcoming video games. So Senua is still being made, and State of Decay 3 is still being made. Now, I don't know who bought Ninja Theory for Senua, because Senua was not that successful, to be honest with you, especially the second one. I don't know who saw value in that, but okay, I guess we'll find out. Arcane's management is also going to begin required consultation with its Works Council to review potential strategic options. So Arcane is under new management, which we talked about the other day. They got a brand new person in charge, and they're going to be undergoing consultation. I don't know what kind of consultation they're going to be under, but hopefully it's nothing that's going to cost them even more money in the future. So then she says the following: we are also making reductions across other units. This is super important right here, okay? And in some cases, shifting investment to focus on higher priority projects. These changes vary in size across Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard, King, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios. None of our first-party publicly announced games or projects are being canceled as part of these reductions. In addition, Mojang and King will now report directly to me. Oh, no, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. These two studios have increasingly become platforms and are our largest by monthly active players. They bring critical geographic, demographic, and differentiation to Xbox. So Mojang and King is where the majority of their accounts, in terms of like online accounts. Remember when I had a fanboy comment on one of my videos, and he was like, yeah, Xbox has 500 million active monthly users or whatever it was. And I was like, Xbox? No, they don't. And then come to find out, the number that he's referencing is like the 370 billion that's on mobile, which comes from, I believe, King. I'm pretty sure a lot of it comes from King, maybe a little bit from Mojang. I'm sure, because those are like mobile focused, but again, a lot of that comes from that, especially King. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. And Minecraft and whatnot with Mojang. So I get it. I get all of that, but let's be real. Like 500 million, come on. Like, how much of that really matters? Anyway, so now apparently Mojang and King are going to report directly to Asha Sharma. So they're skipping all the middlemen, and they're going straight to Asha. I don't know if that means they're in trouble. It sounds like they might be, or it sounds like she wants more control over the two studios that have the most clientele, which that's probably the case, right? So then she says, secondly, we will reset our platform. This is where it also gets interesting, right? We know that great technology gets better when it gets simpler, not bigger. Today, in some parts of the company, work passes through as many as 14 layers. 14 layers of management. Guys, hold on. Zoom in. Come here. Come close. I don't know if you heard that. Can you come here real quick? Come here. 14 layers of management, bro. Do you guys know what that means? Do you guys are like 14 layers? Bro. What the hell, dude? You are way too bloated. Way too bloated. There is no reason why some decisions have to go through 14 layers of management, bro. That's insane. By the time you get to number 14, you've already changed your mind. But to be fair, guys, this is typical corporate behavior. That's really what it is. Everybody's got to feel important. Everybody's got to feel like they have some level of importance over what's going on. But again, 14 layers of management. So that means that, let's say you want to bring back a certain video game franchise or something like that. You got to go through 14 different people sometimes. That's crazy, brother. This is why I said so many times, I'm like, dude, this is such a bloated industry in the West. It really is. It's such a bloated industry. And I find it so funny that the West is more bloated than the East when the East is the one that don't like firing people. When the East would rather make you quit than fire you. And yet somehow, some way, the West has the bloated problem when you could fire people at any given time, pretty much, for the most part. It's a completely different mindset. And it's because, realistically, it's just so bloated, but they're also just playing house. They're playing house. It's really what it is. They're playing house. They don't want to sit there and say that this person is useless. They don't want to do it. They've had so many opportunities to say XYZ person is useless, their job is useless, and we could do better without them and save the money. They don't want to do it. This is why I worry anytime you have indie developers that hit it big and they end up growing their studio past like the 2 to 4 people that were working there already. Because this is how it starts. And before you know, it's like unbelievably bloated, right? It's literally an adult daycare. It really is. Like, there's no other word to say other than that. It's adult daycare. So then she says that our platform teams are 40% larger than they were at the start of the generation. So they're 40% larger today than they were at the start of the Xbox Series X. What the fuck, dude? You just love wasting money. What are we doing? Even as our player base and playtime have declined. Oh shit, they're admitting their player base and their playtime have declined. I thought the numbers were going up. Isn't that what they said for years? They said for years that it's growing, everything's fine, everything's good. That's what the shills told me. The shills told me that I was wrong. That they're succeeding, the numbers are going up, player base is going up. You know, what was that again? Players engaged? Remember that? Remember the players engaged metrics? Oh, those were good. Remember those times? Yeah, they don't do that too much anymore. I wonder why. Players engaged. That's how they like to showcase their video game success. They did it for like 2 years. And now they don't do it too much anymore. Unless it's a free-to-play game, then they do it. And then it says that that complexity has slowed decisions, blurred accountability, and made it harder to deliver for players. As we reset Xbox, we will simplify. Keep it simple, stupid. Remember that? Remember that saying? If you were ever in school and your teacher who thought it was edgy, he would always bring up the kiss analogy. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, keep it fucking simple, bro. There's no reason to be going this hard. Anyway, we will reduce management layers to no more than 5. Wow. So more than half. More than half. They're getting rid of more than half of management. Oh my god, that's amazing. They're gonna keep management layers to no more than 5. So now they gotta go through 5 people to figure out what they're doing. They gotta go through 5 people. And where possible, they're gonna go with 3 people. Okay, so 3 people to figure out what you're doing. We will deliver success through a flatter organization that is built around makers, individual contributors focused on building, player coaches, leaders who remain deeply involved in the work while developing their team, and directly responsible individuals who own key decisions and outcomes. And we will streamline how we work across our tools with a cleaner code base, shared services, and 50% reduced vendor spend. Third, we are resetting how we operate. As Xbox grew our headcount, we became more fragmented. Team studios and functions often operate independently, and it became harder to work towards a shared goal, make the right trade-offs, and get things done. For the first time, we are establishing a chief operating officer with end-to-end P&L responsibility across content, hardware, platform, and services. Helen Chang has been promoted to this role and will report directly to me. Oh, wow. So Asha's going to have a bunch of people reporting directly to her, basically. There you go. I'm not really that surprised, right? Over nearly 2 decades at Xbox, Helen has helped build some of our most important businesses, from Xbox Live to leading Mojang and the Minecraft franchise. She will bring our businesses together under one operating model, making sure that we make clear investment decisions, learn from our successes and failures, and hold ourselves accountable for results. Thank you, Dave McCarthy, who is retiring after 17 years with Xbox. Bro, they kicked his ass out and replaced him with a woman. They were like, all right, the time is now. Get out. Get out. I am woman. Hear me roar. Dave has been playing a defining role in building the platform that millions of players rely on every day, and has been a trusted partner through many of the biggest moments in Xbox history. We wish him all the best. Now get out. That's basically it, right? Like, get out. These changes are about a bigger future. It's time to scissor. No, I'm just kidding. About a bigger future for Xbox, not a smaller one. The next decade of gaming will be larger, more global, and more creative than anything we've seen before. This year, we'll invest as much in Xbox as we ever have, but we'll invest with greater focus, greater discipline, and greater clarity, all in service of making Xbox where the world plays and creates. I want Xbox to be one of the few companies that entertains more than 1 billion people each. Bro, 1 billion people each day, brother. Come on. Come on, Habibi. 1 billion people every day. 1 billion. Okay, do you understand? Like, yes, setting goals is great, but you also got to be realistic. You got to be realistic, right? You know, like, this is what happened. This is what happened to Phil Spencer. Brother, he thought he was going to get 100 million people on Game Pass. Habibi, you are at 30. You're at 30 million. Bro, you only get about 1 billion people a year. That's 1/8 of the world population. How are you going to get 1 billion people a day? How is that going to happen? So you're going to go from 1 billion people a year to 1 billion people a day? Are you out of your mind? Jesus, man. I mean, listen, I'm all for people chasing their dreams. Don't get me wrong, but listen. Come on. Like, it takes a little bit. You know, like, what are we doing? Anyway, it's pretty obvious that they want to tap into markets that are probably under tapped in when it comes to Xbox, right? Like, Xbox gets pretty much ignored in Asian markets. Asian markets don't care about Xbox, right? In Japan, Xbox sells pathetically. Like, it's terrible. It's not even close. It's like 1% of PlayStation. And it's not even anywhere close to Nintendo. Don't even bother comparing it. So I get that. Maybe they want to tap into the Asian markets. Maybe they think, like, there's a way for them to grow there that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. But realistically, though, 1 billion people a day, that's going to take quite the work. But Godspeed, I guess. So she says that, I know we can achieve this goal. Xbox has many of the most beloved franchises in entertainment history, talented studios around the world, and we will return to growth in 2027. History is full of companies that mistake longevity for inevitability. We will not be one of them. Asha. Damn, man. She was literally hitting us with the "I'm a woman, hear me roar." Anyway, so yeah, I mean, listen, things are not looking good, okay? Game Pass is down, you know. They're blaming it on the price hike from 2025, and maybe they could get their numbers back up. Who knows? Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But realistically, I mean, now you're so far into the dirt that you're trying to just play catch up to where you already were at a higher subscription price. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a hard one. And I'll say this is a start. This is very much a start. Like, all of this had to happen. Like, there's no other way to say it, right? All of this had to happen. They had to get rid of these people. These people provided nothing to Xbox. They were literally parasites. They were taking advantage of Big Daddy Microsoft and all of Big Daddy Microsoft's money, and that comfort that was afforded them by working with Xbox. They took advantage of it. Flat out, they took advantage of it. The studios that are getting let go right now took advantage completely of Big Daddy Microsoft. But even if you get rid of them, you still got a bunch of studios that are under your wing that you need to rein in yesterday. Yesterday, you got to rein in Bethesda. Can we talk about Bethesda? I said this yesterday, bro, and I'm going to say it again. Asha Sharma and Matt Booty, whoever, you guys, you two, you need to walk into Bethesda Studios. Although I'm sure you already did because you mentioned Bethesda here. But you need to go into Bethesda Studios right now. You need to sit Todd Howard's ass right now And you need to tell him that he needs to make Elder Scrolls 6 16 times faster. And I'm sure that's just going to result in 16 times more of the bugs. But it doesn't matter, because even if you give him 10 more years, the video game is still going to be a buggy piece of shit. So just have him release it and let the modders fix it like they always do. You guys need to literally go into his office and spank that man. That's what you have to do. It's got to happen. Because it's insane that he's just sitting like this. These people announced, bro, they announced Elder Scrolls 6. How many years ago, bro? They announced Elder Scrolls 6 so many years ago. These guys are literally taking advantage of your good graces because Xbox seems to have this like hands-off approach when it comes to managing their studios. And now they're trying to go hands-on. But realistically, this hands-off approach that you've had, I don't care who the person is. I don't care if it's Todd Howard. I'm sure he has an ego. Most of these people in the gaming industry that are super high up and famous, they have egos. But they work for you at the end of the day. So you need to get in there, and yeah, you're gonna have to rustle some feathers. It is what it is. But they're taking advantage of you. They're taking advantage of your time, your budget. It's crazy. And I understand that you're probably a little bit more reserved because Bethesda video games, as garbage as they are at release, they do sell. And the reason why they sell is because their systems allowed for so much modding that the modding community loves buying those video games to fix them and make them into actual good video games. So that's the reason why they sell. They sell because people know that eventually the game is going to turn into a masterpiece once a couple of years go by and modders get their hand on it. Or at the very least, it'll at least be operable once Bethesda irons out a lot of the bugs and shit, which takes a long time. Either way, though, a lot of people know that, so that's why those games sell. But dude, man, Todd Howard is they're just completely taking advantage, man. And so did the other smaller studios. Compulsion Games, you took advantage, 100%. Double Fine, bro, Double Fine is literally on video, provably taking advantage of what was afforded to them. They all took advantage of it. And now they're going to sit there on LinkedIn and they're going to pretend like, oh, we didn't deserve it. We're all good people. We're all talented. You know, we're amazing. They told us it's not due to our performance, even though they kept Emily and they fired, Frank. I feel like that's the worst excuse, bro. Stop telling people that it does not reflect their talent or dedication. Just stop it. Nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. If I was fired by you and you told me that, I would not believe you. I would look at you and be like, oh, so if it's not because of my talent or my dedication, why'd you fire me and not Emily? Oh, well, and then it's just like, they'll just freeze. You know what I mean? And they'll be like, thank you for your service. Yeah, we'll give you a severance. Yeah, thanks. It's like, no, you obviously fired these people for a reason. So anyway, now it comes down to whether or not these studios are going to survive. The two studios that are going to be looked at right now are Compulsion Games and Double Fine. Those are the two studios. Compulsion Games being in Montreal, I'm sure they're going to have government subsidies for a while, but whether or not it's going to keep them afloat, I don't know. They're gonna have to figure that out. And Double Fine, I don't really know what's going on with them either, but they're going to have to figure it out too. But honestly, I don't know, bro. I think at this point, I think they're cooked. I think it is essentially delaying the inevitable. And without Microsoft behind them, I don't see how they're going to be able to put out video games like South of Midnight and expect to survive. I just don't see how it's going to happen. So, in any case, Asha Sharma, she did it. She did exactly. She is doing exactly what she says she's going to do. And this is somebody who has no attachment. And I think that's why they brought her in. And we said this for a while. They brought her in because she has no attachment. She has no attachment to Xbox gaming whatsoever. She was part of the AI division elsewhere in Microsoft. She has no attachment to these people, no attachment to these studios, no attachment to these developers, nothing. And she's able to just pull the plug without having to worry about my feelings. And I think that my feelings is the reason why so many people were able to stick around for a long time. I think Phil Spencer got soft, probably didn't want to do something like this. He probably fought against it, to be honest with you. And that's why they got rid of him and said, that's okay, we'll get somebody who's going to do it. And that's what they're doing. So we will follow up with this because I'm sure this is not the end. I'm sure this is only the beginning. And we got more stories to go over regarding the layoffs because Obsidian lost 20% of their staff, 25% of their staff. And one of the people fired is making the rounds right now because it's very famous. So we're going to talk about that afterwards in a second. But that's it for the layoffs.